10 minutes past 12. You are listening to the Mid Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Maryam Mkwanda. And that was Allah Knows by Zain Bika. You can listen to more nasheeds at 1 p.m. on Nasheed Radio right here on Salam Media. Well, it is time for our hit list, and our hit list today features social entrepreneur and founder of Bala Books, a leading African child book publishing company. He is the founder and self-declared head honcho at his own publishing house, which occupies an extraordinary niche. Bala Books is the name is Bala Books. He is also our hit list for today. Let's meet him. Hi, Glad.
Hello, Maryam. It's a pleasure to meet you. How are you?
Likewise, I'm very well. Thanks. And yourself?
I'm keeping very well. Thank you for asking.
It's a
Good to
pleasure
be
to
on the
have you
show.
on the show. Thanks for making the time to join us.
Wonderful.
All right, so let's start off by telling us a little bit about who you are. I mean, who is Glad besides being the head honcho, but who is Glad? Where are you from, etc. And where did this interest in reading and writing come from?
Well, Glad is a Soweto-born individual, brought and bred. I'm through and through Sowetan, South African. I've always had an interest in reading and writing ever since I was a child. Um, I remember just writing poems in black and white. So yeah, that grew into, I guess, something that was beyond my wildest imaginations. But as a child, I was very imaginative, I must say, very creative. Did not know really what that meant in its full context. But I've always, like I said, been keen in reading and writing. I would always, I remember I used to carry a small pocket dictionary with me, and I would always just jot down entries from that dictionary for whatever reason. Nobody else my age seemed to do that at the time, but there I was.
Well, my friend and I, during our free periods, used to sit down together and study the dictionary. So I guess you're not alone in that
Yes,
regard.
exactly. There we go. I'm glad to hear I'm not alone.
Right. Talk to us about Bala Books. Where did the inspiration come from?
It's such an incredible space to be. I feel like I've just been, selected as an instrument to fulfill this mission, which is what it is really. Bala Books, I mean, started in a dining room in Soweto in my grandmother's house, but it did not start in a way that a normal business would start, which is to put together a business plan, to register a company or what have you. It just came to me as this just idea when I had my family photo album in my hands, and I was going through my childhood photos, and it was just falling apart, the whole thing. And to salvage that, I decided to take out the photos, remove them, and scan them onto a PC, and just have type out captions about each moment that I was trying to preserve. And I remember I would go to my mother and my grandmother and ask them exactly what was taking place in that moment. And I would just put these moments together. And I guess somewhere there, an inspiration or a light bulb moment, if you will, just dawned on me that this could possibly be something to put together and maybe help other kids preserve their memories. So that's how it started, to be honest, before it became a publishing house. So
Wow.
from scrapbooking.
Well, who would have thought? I mean, just sitting down, bored one day, putting pictures together, and boom, a business. And it's the leading African child book publishing company at the moment. Now, let's
Certainly.
talk about that. You publish children's books. What age groups do you focus on, and what type of stories do the kids write?
Yes, we certainly are the leading African child authored book writing and the book publishing house. The sort of stories that come out of here are just sure. It's a lot of fiction because there's children involved, But you find also themes such as escapism, kids who are escaping from a certain injustice, if you will, a social injustice. You do find those sort of stories. But what we do is that we, have amazing copy editors who then obviously put the story in a context that will appeal to other young readers. I think I missed your first question, but I am answering your second question in regards to the types of stories. So the themes range. We have kids from the ages of 7, as young as 7. That's our youngest author. The youngest author around the world, Dorothy Straits, was 6 years old when she wrote her book, and we're still trying to beat that target. But at the moment, our youngest authors are 7, and they go all the way to 18. We run a book writing competition throughout the year where kids get to submit their stories, their manuscripts, and we go through the entire country looking for the best and brightest young writers and child authors.
Hmm. So these books that are published and authored by the kids, are they sold, and on what platforms are they sold at?
100%. Our website, for instance, www.balabooks.com, would be a digital repository of these delightful books where one could find them. But on a more commercial scale, the books are distributed. Your leading chain store being Exclusive Books, not all the bookstores, but we
Hmm.
do have several in which you can find the book. Ethnic Kids is our primary distributor. So anybody interested in the books can find them there as well. And I guess those are the platforms right now that are accessible and where people can find the books. But the interesting thing here is that once a child has gone through a scaffolding process with us through our academy, where they do modules on how to write a book, at the end, when the book is selected, it becomes published with us, and that child then goes on to earning royalties in perpetuity. We start focusing on the generational wealth creation of that child through our royalty strategy. We also focus obviously on the educational aspect. So it's not just the book is just a means to an end, I guess. But there is the education and learning, which is the program itself. There is the publishing and generational wealth creation through royalties, and obviously the social aspect where kids and their peers of their own are able to read their books on this one platform and share reviews and what have you.
Oh, that's amazing. Hey, I mean, I wish all kids could take advantage of such an opportunity, especially Black kids, African kids. We want to try and create this generational wealth, and not just that, but a generation, a nation of readers and writers. We need to go back to our roots. I mean, our parents and our grandparents used to read and write to us, and if they couldn't read or write, then they would preserve these stories by telling us these stories, and then eventually, they get passed down from generation to generation until somebody decides to put them on paper and publish them. But that's a great idea, wonderful, and kudos to you guys for coming up with something like that.
You
Now,
have my thanks.
well, it why is it important to encourage reading and writing amongst kids?
Like you've mentioned, storytelling has been a tradition that has been passed down from one generation to the next. And I think this chain of events needs to be kept as a succession. And it's so important to pass it down to the kids so that, for one, we do not break this succession. We keep the tradition, Africa's oldest and ancient tradition, which is storytelling. We keep it alive. It's so important. And the best way to do that is to pass it down to the young minds. But also, of course, if you look at the statistics, over 74% or 78% rather of grade 4 learners cannot read with comprehension. And all those sort of statistics. 80% of our children's reading books are imported British and American based books. And so I think it's very important to pass down this tradition to get kids reading, but not just that, but for them to read, like you've mentioned, books that they resonate with and books that represent them. So that the history that is then created isn't a history that is foreign to any of us, especially to them, because they're so impressionable, their minds. So we start creating history that they can relate to, their friends can relate to. And there is a little bit of that self centeredness. When you've written a book, then it
Mm.
becomes all about you, of course. And, what we've seen is with the kids, when their friend has written a book, all of their peers now suddenly want to read it or want to write a book as well, because if Tabo can do it, then so can Mpo.
Mm-hmm. And it's great also having teachers and parents encourage them. And, teacher will be like, all right, Tabo just wrote a book. So you guys should follow in Tabo's footsteps and perhaps also get your own book written. And, we encourage
100%.
healthy competition and kids love that as well. Soon we're going to
Kids
have
are
the
very
entire
competitive.
class.
Kids are
Yeah.
quite competitive. You don't even know the half of it. And I mean, we've gone through so much as a country. And if
Mm-hmm.
we can at least give some kids an escape from the everything, that the mayhem that we've seen over the past 2 years with COVID-19 and lockdown and all of those things, this is it. This is a way to help them escape into a
Mm-hmm.
world beyond their own.
And speaking about that, for anyone who's interested, how can they get into writing their own books and eventually having it published by Bala Books?
Well, the best way would be to
Mm.
follow Bala Books on social media. Because we get so many submissions, it's easier if you follow us on social media, on Twitter and on Gmail, it's Bala_books. On Facebook, it's at Bala Books One, the number one. That's where we share news about call for submissions, and any other information. And then obviously the links to emails and all that, and all of those details would be shared on there. So please do follow Bala Books on social media. I personally am on LinkedIn as Glad Kaiser. So you can also go on there and follow me there.
All right. And since Bala Books started, how many books have been published?
I'll say thousands. I'll say it's now gone way over 20,000 child authored
Wow.
books that
All
are
right.
in our catalog. And not only that, Miriam, but also those books have been translated into all official languages, and the books are supplied to the Department of Education for public school libraries. So a lot of kids in public schools are definitely reading a lot of our books, which is
Mm,
great.
okay. Yeah, of course it is. All right, Glad. We're going to play a game quickly. It's called a quick fire. I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and all you have to do is answer them as quickly as possible. Are you ready?
I'll try. I'll try my best. Yes, I am.
All right. If you were the president, who would be your deputy?
It would definitely be one of our child board members.
And what would your top priority be as the president?
Education, and child protection.
What is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote is by myself, not to sound cynical, but children have an inborn l- children children have an inborn and inherent storytelling language, and it is the business of the publisher to lend them a voice.
Wow. Right. What's your favorite book?
My favorite book would have to be. Ooh, that's a very tricky one. I'm thinking of my own catalog right now, and I'm just okay. So it can't be one of those. I think it would have to be the Laws of Power. There's
Mhm.
so much in there. The 8 Laws of Power is what I keep going back to.
I'm glad you didn't say Rich Dad Poor Dad because that's everyone's favorite.
It
Whenever
came
you
to
ask them,
mind.
like, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I'm like, oh my God. All right. And last question. Name 3 people that you would recommend we follow on social media.
I would recommend that you follow Relebogile Motema, child author. I would recommend that you follow Yamani Pakate, another child author, and I would also recommend you follow myself, Glad Kaiser. I think that's two. So the third person that you can follow on there would be Daniel Nyamgero, one of our child authors as well.
All right, awesome. You managed to answer all 5 questions, and congratulations. You did better than
Yeah.
most of our guests.
Oh boy.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Going forward, what can we expect from Bala Books and Glad Kaiser in the near future?
The best is yet to come, I can assure you. I think Bala Books will grow in scale from strength to strength. We're looking at scaling throughout the African continent. We're looking to scale beyond our borders and internationally. And going online onto an online uh, um, platform has provided us that opportunity. So you're looking at Africa's full-fledged publishing house, started by an African child for African children, and the world is just ready for us for our undertaking.
Hmm. All right. And what is your advice to parents and caregivers going forward, as well as teachers? Because we need support from them. The support should come from parents first before it can come from anyone else. So, what is your advice?
I think if we could all work together and realize that a child, it's like the African proverb that a child is raised by a village, and so if as parents we work together with teachers, as schools, as institutions from primary, secondary, preparatory, varsity. They all need to come together because it's this one individual that you're bringing up from one point to a certain level. So I guess it's working together and just allowing children to be childlike, and not childish, but childlike. Allow
Mm.
them to be creative. Allow them to explore. And really just find their own way and what it is that they can contribute to making this world better.
Mm. And parents would be surprised how creative their kids can actually be. I mean, these kids
I'm telling
live
you.
in a world of their own. And one day, my daughter told me that she got powers from school, and I'm like, what school are you
There you
talking
have
about?
it.
Because she doesn't even go to school, but she got powers from school. I'm like, okay.
Absolutely. That's actually quite true. And just to add to that, I think we as parents as well, we can afford to be childlike as well.
Mhm.
And not necessarily childish, but sometimes we need an escape. And I think if we can, let's escape into this world of children. You might be surprised what to find there. The
Exactly.
happiness, the
Yes.
wonderment.
It's always nice to get in touch with your inner child. I mean, it's
Mm.
gone, but it's not forgotten. So let us also get in touch with our inner child and nurture and create these child geniuses and have legacies to come. Glad, thank you so much for your time. It has been an absolute pleasure chatting to you.
Miriam, the honor truly is mine. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure and good luck with whatever it is that you're going to be doing, your future endeavors, and with Bala Books.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.
I was Glad Kaiser, the founder of Bala Books, the leading African child publishing house. And if you'd like to know more, you can visit Bala Books, balabooks.com. That's their website, and all the information is available there, as well as on social media. And if you find exclusive books somewhere, you can look out for some of the books that have been published by Bala Books. It is 12:30. You are listening to the Mid Morning Talk on Salam Media. We will be right back.